Where's our doorkeeper back there? Would you close the door, please, sir? Please, ma'am. Okay, folks. The Senate must have held a meeting in here this morning before we got started, since it's so hot. I'm gonna ask the whip and the leader back there to quit laughing so loud, so we can get started. I'm going to call on Representative Mac Jackson and let him open us with prayer, with a special prayer to help us make the next 3 days.
Chairman, let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we come before you, we thank you for this day, Lord. We ask for your guidance, Lord. Help us to make it through these last 3 days. Give the chairman the wisdom, give him the strength, Lord, and give it to us all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I didn't know I was so popular. Of course, come Thursday, nobody know who I am anymore. So that's right. And all of y'all think y'all so important. You know, I served as interim city manager for Columbus for a period of time, and I'd call somebody and they'd get them out of a meeting to come talk to me. Well, after I left that interim position, they wouldn't even return my calls. So that when you announce your retirement, everybody out there is going to erase your name off their phone. So you just count on it. All right, Senator, this is your first time, and I think you got a bill up here that we don't have yet, but we're going to let you do it.
Well, thank you, Mr.
So you
Chairman.
don't have to come back.
I'll come back if you want me to.
No, you don't have to.
Okay, what this bill is Senate Bill 31. This bill simply allows the Attorney General to be reimbursed if the Attorney General has to go and prosecute a case in a county where that local DA will not prosecute that case. And you got to remember, the Attorney General can only prosecute felony gangs, human trafficking, cyber crimes, identity theft. So these are bad crimes that are not being prosecuted by the DA. And there is a provision in there where the Superior Court judge does look at the expenses to make sure they're reasonable expenses, food, lodging, so on. If he has to go and prosecute a case, he should be reimbursed, and it should not come out of his budget. The second bill is Senate Bill.
Hold on.
Oh,
anyone, Mr. Park, you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Senator Beach, for SB 31, along with undermining prosecutorial discretion, is there any estimate on how much this will cost local governments or what burden this may impose on courts to determine within 15 days whether district attorneys fail to perform their duties? Well,
that's the key, is that we do have a Superior Court judge in that county that will look at his receipts and his expenses and judge whether they are reasonable expenses. But it should not come out of the Attorney General's budget, which it is happening right now. When he goes to Athens, he's paying for hotel rooms, lodging, and expenses. He should be reimbursed.
Thank you.
Ms. Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Senator, this is Senate Bill, what number is this?
31, Senate Bill 31.
Okay, it just passed out yesterday, and it's not anywhere to be found yet.
Okay, I was just trying to catch up with where we were.
Sure.
I do have a question, though. At what point is it determined that the AG is going to go in and take over a case as opposed to a local DA maybe not have gotten to it yet? I mean, what is the trigger?
Well, I think what's happened in Athens, Clark County, is that DA has not prosecuted some gang-related cases, so the Attorney General has went in and done that, and he should be reimbursed. He has a $7 million deficit in his budget, and he's paying out of his budget to go enforce the laws that we pass in this General Assembly in Athens, Clark County.
Well, I'm sympathetic to Athens. I represent Muskogee, so that's why I want to know what is the trigger for this taking place.
Yeah, that's the Attorney General's discretion.
Thank you.
Okay, what's your next one? And I do apologize for it to be
Okay.
so hot.
All right, the next is Senate Bill 132, and Mr. Chairman, both Chairman Perkel and I ran companion bills on prohibiting the Chinese government from buying our farmland. Agriculture is our #1 industry. We took in committee yesterday, we stripped my bill out and added Chairman Perkel's, which was a much stronger bill. He had added some stuff at the end that makes it a better bill, so we used his bill. It passed out of committee. I will tell you that in 2010, the Communist Chinese government owned 12,000 acres of U.S. farmland. Today, they own 268,000 acres of U.S. farmland, and there's 2 million that the U.S. Department of Agriculture does not know who owns. So they are methodically playing a 30-year long-term game trying to buy our farmland, and I think it's a national security issue to protect our #1 industry here in Georgia, which is agriculture. So that's why I brought this bill. Any questions? It's Senate Bill,
Mr. Park, it's not on your list either.
yeah, it's Senate Bill 132.
Mr. Park,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Beach, I know with Chairman Perkel's bill, the Georgia lawyers from the Georgia Real Estate Association testified that that bill would violate federal fair housing laws because it discriminates against individuals based on national origin. There's further testimony based on analysis of this bill that it's unconstitutional because it violates the Equal Protection Clause, it's preempted by federal immigration policy, and violates the Dormant Commerce Clause.
Yeah.
Can you speak to any of those concerns?
Let me be very clear. We are not discriminating against anybody in this bill. What we are doing is not allowing the Chinese Communist government to buy our farmland. That's period. That's what it's doing. And the Logan Act of 1799 says this is constitutional.
While I appreciate the intent of the bill, I don't think that's how it's written. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
No more
Chairman.
questions. Anybody whose bill passed out yesterday and we don't have it, please come back later. We'll let everybody know when the bill will be presented. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Eccles. Because we don't have copies of those bills to take a look at.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I have Senate Bill 109. Section 1 of that bill requires insurers to give patients a choice of where to obtain their medications they have to be administered by a health care provider. It prohibits insurers from forcing patients to use a process called white bagging. This section was added by the House Public Health Committee. Section 2 of the bill is a collaboration with the Department of Community Health and the Governor's Office to provide DCH the flexibility in establishing the most cost-effective delivery channel for continuous glucose monitors. It allows those patients to obtain continuous glucose monitors from their primary care physician, opening access and eliminating long-distance travel and long wait lines for appointments with endocrinologists.
All right, I don't see any questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. What's your bill number?
Senate Bill 19, Mr. Chair, should be near the top of your first page. This bill has to do with passport fees, and it addresses transparency and also the allocation of the fees. There's disclosure required of the money that comes in from passport fees, and we had a formula for how this was going to be allocated, and the House Judiciary Committee very kindly adjusted that formula in order to make it more clear and more fair. And so what happens now is 1/3 goes to the county, 1/3 goes to the clerk or probate judge's office, and 1/3 can be kept as personal income with a cap. But all of it requires disclosure, which is the key to the bill.
We have organized confusion up here. Mr. Hawkins.
Never understood why some of this money's being kept as personal income. Can you explain to me why we're using county and city personnel to do work and then the clerk keeps it as personal income?
There are a lot of different opinions about that, and where we started was that none of the income could be kept as personal income, but as it worked its way through the process and we learned about different variations of the process around the state,
rural being very different from metro counties, we made adjustments to the formula.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the gentlelady, Senator, I just had a quick question. I'm just wondering what prompted this, because my clerk, and I'm in a military district where a lot of passports, but we've never seen a problem. But secondly, the Clerks Association is against it too. And I don't know why, we always ask, what does the department think? But I just want to know, what does the county clerks think?
I'm actually surprised to hear that the clerks are still against this with all the accommodations that have been made and changes to the bill. But the reason it came up, I wasn't here back when this came up many years ago, but I learned last fall that there was a problem in my county, and it turns up in many other counties with large amounts of money not being reported to the county and being kept as personal income. And that's why the reporting part is a key piece of the bill.
Mr. Park. Okay, very good. Is that it? Very good, thank you. Yes, sir. What's your bill number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's an honor to be with y'all in House Rules today. My first bill is Senate Bill 66, which is a very important bill for the judges of our area. The most recent study of the Judicial Council of Georgia identified the Atlantic Judicial Circuit was one of 3 circuits that needed an additional Superior Court judge. And one of the big parts of that is because we have Smith State Prison, Georgia State Prison, and Rogers State Prison in that judicial circuit. And a lot of those crimes and all in those prisons are now moved into the Superior Court judges, and they have to handle those crimes. So the Atlanta Judicial Circuit was identified as one of 3 circuits that needed an additional Superior Court judge. And this bill increased the judges from 4 to 5 beginning in January 1, 24. And the money to fund this is in the budget. And I would appreciate your favorable consideration on this bill. If anybody has any questions, I'll entertain those questions.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator, over here.
Oh, okay, sir.
Thank you for bringing this bill. We desperately need it, but is it not so that my county, my district is the largest single county in the Atlantic Judicial Circuit, and we do support it. It was a great opportunity for a bipartisan effort here. Thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no more questions?
Got another bill, please.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay, Senate Bill 127, which Representative Ron Stevens and I have worked very hard on. This bill enhances the jurisdiction of the Department of Community Affairs to include oversight over agreements between local governments and destination marketing organizations, and those are commonly referred to as Convention and Visitors Bureau. This bill passed the Senate 50-2, and then we've also presented this bill in the House Ways and Means Committee, and it passed unanimously. And I would entertain any questions for that bill.
No questions, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor being here. I appreciate it.
Go ahead. What's your bill number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Have you gotten them straightened out over there yet?
I'm getting this close.
I wish you were right, but go ahead.
Senate Bill 168. It's on the second page, almost at the bottom. This allows chiropractors to also file a lien to get paid, along with doctors, hospitals, burn centers. They're at the end, they're not up front. But this is a bill that became better in committee because there was an amendment to the bill that when people have hospital insurance, that the hospitals have to file the insurance and the doctors have to file the insurance. They can't wait on a settlement and then go after the whole amount, and so the injured party winds up with nothing. So this is something that's also very consumer friendly.
Okay. See no questions?
Sir?
I see no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What's your bill number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's SB 177. deals with creating the Georgia Food Security Advisory Council. This comes about through heavy vetting through the House Agriculture and Affairs Committee, and also from a study committee which deals with the area of food insecurity. What we found out was that food insecurity has many various issues, whether those are food deserts, economic concerns, senior hunger, issues dealing with different issues dealing with rural and urban issues, and of course also issues dealing with our farmers. This creates an advisory council to basically make recommendations to the legislature to kind of intersect and deal with all these various issues concerning food insecurity, which affects about 2 million Georgians.
See no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, by the way, if you've already presented your bill, you don't have to come back. All right, Senator.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good
Good
morning.
to be with you and all your committee members. Thank you. I present to you on page 3, 6 bills down, SB 272, SB 272. And this simply updates the Criminal Case Data Exchange Board by moving it from the Clerk's Council to the Judicial Council and the Administrative Office of Courts. The board's work over the last 9 months since we passed the bill that we did collectively last year to create the board has shown that the problems our state faces with criminal records and making sure that those are maintained current is bigger than just an issue with the clerks, but it's something that spans across the judiciary of our state. This bill addresses that, and I ask your favorable consideration.
See no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great day.
You too. Here comes my second favorite appropriations chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Or should I turn that around so that once we can get this budget done?
You're my favorite rules chairman.
All right, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 73 and Senate Bill 74, bottom of the first page. Senate Bill 73 is a do-gooder bill. You're not going to have anybody in the halls lobby you for it. In fact, you might have them lobby against it. But what it does is it says if you're going to be on the Georgia Do Not Call list, that we're going to enforce the Georgia Do Not Call list. We're going to try to provide a little bit of peace at people's dinner tables. And again, you're not going to get any kudos in the halls, but you get a lot of kudos at home. Senate Bill 74 is a bill it started as about attorney advertising. The Constitution allows folks to say things like, I'm the best. It's considered puffery in advertising. But when puffery becomes falsity, we begin to distort our legal system. And I think we've done that with attorney advertising. There's an amendment that was put on by the House, and it makes the bill even better, and I'd support that.
Okay, I don't see any. Oh, hold on. Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chairman, does this affect my ability to say I'm the best legislator?
No, sir, because that's the truth.
Oh, I'm going to turn that off, I tell you. Yeah, the temperature just went up in here. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, what's your bill number?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to be here today. I'm presenting Senate Bill 103. Representative Vance Smith carried it last year. It made it all the way through the process, all the way through the House, through Senate rules, and was just not called up on the last day. I've been carrying it this year. It just creates claimants designated representatives. In the state of Florida, they have that for unclaimed property, and 59% of the unclaimed property in the state of Florida is claimed. In the state of Georgia, it's 9%. And so we feel like this is going to go a long way in helping that. The other bill that I have is Senate Bill 220. That's a policy proposal from our former colleague, Commissioner of Agriculture Tyler Harper's office. It's the Georgia Farmland Conservation Act. We presented it in front of 2 subcommittees and then the full committee, Ways and Means Committee, and passed it out. It creates the PACE program in the state of Georgia, which is a Purchased Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. 29 other states have them. They've been able to protect 3.2 million acres in the country with them, and it's a dollar-for-dollar match that comes down from the federal government for any state, local, or private monies that go into these funds.
See no questions on either one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Morning. What's your number?
SB 146. It's the bill that Chairman Jaspers and I have worked on for 6 to 9 months now, dealing with the EV industry that's coming to Georgia in a hurry. There's 3 parts to this bill. The first part allows for the electricity being sold to charge the electric cars to be sold by the kilowatt hour instead of by time. The second part of the bill allows for the Department of Agriculture to implement permitting, regulations, inspections, and accountability for the charging stations. That'll be public charging stations spread out throughout the state. And the third part of the bill deals with the taxation portion that will replace the lost motor fuel tax. When people quit using gasoline and go to using electricity, we will have an equivalent tax rate to replace that lost motor fuel tax.
You probably explained that, but it slipped over my head. If someone charges their vehicle at home,
Yes.
how is that calculated?
So in the bill, it codifies that people that charge in their home, their residence, or at a multifamily dwelling like an apartment complex would not be subject to the taxation, and they would not be subject to the Department of Agriculture's jurisdiction either. And so if you're at a public charging station, let's say you go to Buc-ee's or a racetrack or whatever on your way to Savannah this weekend, and you pull in and charge at a public charging station, you would be charged the equivalence of a motor fuel tax, and it'll be based on the rate that is set by the Department of Revenue. There's a ceiling in the bill of 9 kilowatt per hour rate, which is, I think, going to be increased to 11 according to a substitute that you may have on your desk in just a few minutes. And so the lower the denominator, the higher the denominator, the lower the rate. So the substitute that you have on your desk will actually lower the tax rate to where we're basically going to be charging the equivalence of what a gallon of gas would perform based on a kilowatt of electricity.
Okay.
So it is an exact parity equation.
Mr. Martin.
Question for you, Senator. I don't have the bill in the packet yet. I guess that's because we're waiting on the substitute. Does this do anything with the fee that's being charged now? We put, or a $200 fee was put in place prior to that because there was no way to capture any revenue
That's right.
from the operations. Does this do anything with that?
No, and this bill is basically setting up the structure to allow us to evolve into the EV industry with changes to come in the future. The DOT is involved in a pilot project this year with multiple other states that are going to be looking at road usage charges, vehicle miles traveled, and other ways to offset that lost motor fuel tax. In the meantime, we will maintain the $215 a year fee that you might pay if you have an EV car. You would simply continue to pay for that at your local tag office until we replace that fee with another kind of fee based on miles traveled. So if you're charging at your home charger in your garage or in your driveway, you're not paying the road tax. Instead, you're paying the $200. Most people that use an electric car drive to and from work short trips. On the other hand, if you leave your home in Alpharetta and drive to Savannah, you're going to have to stop somewhere and charge along the way. Out-of-state travelers are going to be coming through Georgia in EVs, and they're going to have to stop and charge along the way. And we want to make sure they're paying their fair share of the tax that the rest of us who have gasoline engines are paying today.
Mr. Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator,
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your good work on this important piece of legislation. I wanted to just clarify two things with this most recent substitute. Does it allow for public chargers that are currently free to continue to offer free services?
I haven't seen the substitute, so I'll have to let Chairman Jaspers address that when the time is appropriate. But this bill doesn't go into effect until January 1st of 2025. That gives the Department of Ag and the Department of Revenue ample time to get the regulations in place and begin the permitting process.
And would you, by any chance, know whether or not this is the version supported by the Convenience Store Association?
Yes.
That has protections against monopolistic practices?
All the interested parties in the room support the bill as written. It was carefully crafted and negotiated with them over the last 6 to 7 months.
Thank you for the good work.
Sir.
That's all I see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. What's your bill number?
Mr. Chairman, I'm here on behalf of SB 115, SB 144. These are both National Guard Department bills. One codifies existing state-sponsored life insurance program. The other cleans up a little onerous reporting requirements for National Guard. But they've requested both of these, vetted both, and asked for favorable consideration.
So you're doing 115 and 124?
144, Mr. Chairman, because Senator Islam was unable to be here this morning, but bills are two birds of a feather, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay. All right. Any questions? Oh, seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Dugan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't sure of the protocol. We had 136 has been presented before this committee before. We decided to send it back to the standing committee to make an adjustment and came back. So I just need to see if I need to present again. Senate Bill 136.
Well. All right. I think everybody understands what it does.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
sir. Yes, sir. What's your bill number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 145, I don't see it on the list, but
when did it pass out?
It passed government affairs yesterday. It picked up a little bit of baggage along the way.
And we won't have anything on it as of yet. The clerk has to read it before we get it.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
You can come back this afternoon. Are you the only House member over there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Get back in the back of the line?
No. It should have been up at the front, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't know if I hadn't heard anybody say, it's hot in here.
And it's just like we don't know that. You know, I'm not the brightest bulb in the world, but I can tell that, Mr. Knight.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I've got SB.
Hold on,
Hold on.
Mr. Chairman, I know you have lectured us and the senators on brevity.
Yeah.
And again, I hope they'll listen to that because you've turned up the heat in this room to make sure that we quickly
That is a good idea. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm bringing this SB 60 on behalf of Senator Hatchett. His daughter had emergency tonsillectomy this morning, and so he called me and last minute pinch hitter here on SB 60. This is a bill that's dealing with secondary metal recyclers. It's a bill that ran out of time. The clock got a little faster than us on the floor last year, so we're bringing it back and made it even better and toughened some of the standards in it. We've been working with the metal theft stakeholders. Basically, it's making sure that we strengthen the law to further crack down on catalytic converter theft by prohibiting anyone for advertising or solicit that they purchase used or detached catalytic converters unless they have a registered metal recycling permit. Also, we've started a pilot program for 2 years that will allow cash payments for anything but catalytic converters, utility wire, communications copper, and batteries that you can do $100 cash in a day. So that's basically the bill.
I don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Y'all ought to have the pleasure of sitting right in front of him on the House floor. Mr. Strickland.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have two bills, both on page 2. First is Senate Bill 133, about halfway down. This creates uniformity and due process in juvenile proceedings where a child is ordered into state custody from the bench.
Oh, Mr. Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that there are some juvenile court judges who were concerned about this bill. Have any of those concerns been addressed?
Yes, so the original draft of the bill in the Senate was revised a couple times to address some of those concerns. It passed the Senate, I think, with only one no vote. Came over here, it was revised maybe 2 or 3 more times through the committee process, and we're down to basically to one little point of opposition with some of the judges, but we're really close on that. I think it's a good bill to hopefully get some uniformity in the process. I know that Chairman Ballinger has also mentioned us trying to study the CHINS process in the off-season to address some of those concerns.
Thank you.
Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I just direct the whip's attention to Rules Committee substitute, the Senate Bill 133, which is on the desk right now, which further addresses that, and at the appropriate time I can discuss. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
I have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, a couple more bills down. Senate Bill 157. This deals with how our licensing boards deal with criminal records in our state to create uniformity and make sure we're getting folks that want a second chance to get out of our criminal justice system and get to work.
No questions. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got 2 bills as well on the first sheet. Second bill down, SB 217. This is the Eliminating Ghost Plates Act, which I've mentioned to your august committee before. This is supported by our state police, our sheriffs, and our Police Chiefs Association to crack down on the drag racers and the criminals to increase penalties.
I don't see any questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. And Senate Bill 13 allows our sheriffs to conduct their auctions as they do today, also online. Same type of provisions in place to make sure they're done at the time that people can have access.
Don't see any questions. Thank you,
you
sir.
so much.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. There are two bills on the sheet, but I'd ask the committee to defer any consideration of SB 107 at this time. We're still working to adjust it, make it even better. Also, I have on the sheet SB 222. This is the bill that would require all election funding be from appropriately allocated state funds or government funds. It limits third-party support for elections in Georgia.
Okay. I've got a couple. Mr. Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several questions, if you don't mind. The first one.
Well, this is not place for debate. It's just
Okay.
you got one or two.
Okay, I'm going to go with one.
Okay.
And so my question to you is, the bill sets out felony charges and fines for any violation of these provisions. Some may argue that those harsh penalties could deter people from participating in elections and lead to unintended consequences. Can you address sort of the penalizing violations that are addressed in this bill?
That was discussed extensively in committee. There were amendments made to weaken those penalties. Those amendments were defeated. I would suggest that our intent is not to penalize or fine or imprison anyone, but to ensure that every county in Georgia follows Georgia law.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I said one, but I do have two. The second one is a lack of clarity around what does nominal value of goods and services mean in this bill? What is a nominal value?
I believe it's specified as $500 or less, although it does allow for organizations to donate space or support services. By the way, as long as the individuals do not receive compensation, they can certainly volunteer their services. In addition to that, any additional services or funds can be routed through the Secretary of State, and there's no limitation to those donations.
Mr. Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it not true that we fought enough over election-related bills for the past few years, and a little breather would be nice?
We've had some lively discussions, Representative. And again, this is not a new concept. This is a clarification of existing SB 202.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. No more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Huffstedler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got Senate Bill 56 here on the front page. We have a few of our rural tax commissioners are the only constitutional officers in the state that don't have any kind of a retirement benefit. This is not a defined benefit plan. It's only a defined contribution 401k, and I'm speaking about the House substitute on this bill, where the House wanted to make sure that nobody that was currently on a plan could double dip, and language was put in to make sure abundantly clear that was the case, and that any tax commissioner who in the future their county offered a plan, they would go to the county plan. This is a cost of about $225,000 to close the loop and say every constitutional officer in the state of Georgia has some kind of plan, even though this is a very minimal plan, and it would take care of some of these, not my commissioner, but it would take care of some of these rural counties.
How many commissioners state? I've heard a number of 20-something or something like this.
Well, if I think it's more in the 30 range of those that would be eligible for this, and again, some of them have some defined benefit plans from the past, but this does not do that. It's just a very minimal contribution. They do bring in $1 billion to $2 billion of state revenue, and this would let Georgia say everybody has some plan.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, sir.
I do have 164, but I spoke about it before. That's the advanced practice nurses licensing that went through the Gort Committee unanimously. No scope of practice change whatsoever. Just gives them a license separate from their RN license.
Okay. I see no questions. Thank you, sir. Okay. Ms. Ballinger needs to present a Senate bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure today to present SB 216 to the Rules Committee. It just basically allows for longer periods of time for respite care for our foster parents in the state of Georgia, and it also updates the terminology, striking babysitter and replacing it with, I think, respite care worker, something like. I don't have the bill in front of me, so it just updates the language. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
It does change it from babysitter to respite care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Raise your hand. Nope.
Okay. See no questions. Chairman Blackman, I think you got a couple of bills you need to present.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. On behalf of Senator Walker, who is under the weather this morning.
Is he still sick?
I think he got better and maybe has had a relapse.
Yeah, he came in for a couple of days, and so, okay.
Yes,
go ahead.
Say a little prayer for him. Senate Bill 106 is Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Act, and it would require the Department of Public Health to conduct a pilot program utilizing remote maternal health clinical services in at-risk and underserved rural communities during pregnancy and early childhood to improve birth outcomes, reduce preterm deliveries, and decrease infant and maternal mortality. The second is...
Do you have anyone have any questions for the... Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, Senate Bill 240 is on the page 3, about 4 down, and it relates to pensions within ERS, and it aligns with federal law, and says if you're not a public employee that you can't be on a public retirement system.
Okay. So no questions. Thank you, sir. Leader of Frustration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two issues for the committee. The first is on the third page, Senate Resolution 214. This is a joint resolution regarding the procedure for the confirmation of the State Elections Board chairman.
So no questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. Second is the committee substitute to Senate Bill 133, which is on the desk, and I'll just alert the members to lines 35 to 38. These are additions added for clarity in response to recommendations provided by juvenile court judges, and the department has been terrific to work with on this. I'd ask for the committee's favorable consideration.
Okay, you've got a rule substitute on your desk, LC 491461S. LC 491461S. Do I hear a move? Move. Got a move? It's on. Oh, it passed. What's that? Okay, we got one more. Chairman Jaspers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at SB 146, Senator Gooch's bill, we have a rule substitute, LC 393945S. Technical change on line 14, where it says electricity shall not be more than 11 kilowatt hours. It was 9. That will lower the rate that people pay in the excise tax from 3.47 cents to 2.84. It's a more precise number than we passed out of committee.
Okay.
That's the only change in the bill. If I can answer Mr. Park's question about free chargers. You know, that's the sale of power to that free charger will be taxed. You know, it's up to the individual who owns that private entity that may want to give power away as they bring you into their store. It's up to them, but on the power that goes to that free, it will be taxed.
Okay, we have a proposal for a rule substitute for Senate Bill 146, LC 393945S. Do I hear a move? Move. Got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. It passed. Okay. Needless to say that there will probably be about a 99.999% chance that we'll have a supplemental calendar today. So, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you haven't been saying there's 100% no, I wanted to put my name beside something that I know that you
well,
have.
Please do.
Well, and I promise not to do it again. That's it. SB 35, but looking for some mercy, not justice.
SB 30. Where is SB 35?
On the very front.
Oh, okay.
Very first.
Sorry about that. All right. Yes, sir. You got the
I
microphone.
apologize. I keep forgetting that what you read ain't always what it is. Let me wave at what I just said.
Okay, I'll scratch your name off. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to set the calendar. This will be Monday's calendar. Monday's calendar. Now, we will have a supplemental calendar this afternoon, and it will be for this afternoon. It'll be today's supplemental calendar. Okay. Under modified structure, Senate Bill 62, do I hear a move? Got a move and a second, it's on. Senate Bill 109, do I hear a move? It's on. Rule substitute for Senate Bill 146, LC 393945S, do I hear a move? Got a move and a second, it's on. Senate Bill 159, do I hear a move? Okay, it's on. All right, Senate Bill 168, do I hear a move? I got a move in a second, it's on. Senate Bill 195, do I hear a move? Yes. Okay, I can't hear you. Put your microphone on. Okay. Okay, you're right. It has not presented yet.
That's still the bill that if it passes in its current form, it would nullify 155 that enables licensure by endorsement for all Georgians. He sets military forward and sets the rest of Georgia back. I don't believe that's the gentleman, but he's been out ill, Senator Walker.
Okay.
We've been unable to get together, so I just asked you to give us an opportunity to work on that.
Okay, it's on hold. So Senate Bill 195 is on hold. Okay, Senate Bill 216, do I hear a move? A move and a second, it's on. Senate Bill 222, do I hear a move? Got a move and a second, it's on. Senate Bill 133, as a rule substitute, LC 491461S, I hear a move. Okay, it's on. All right, let's read over again. This is for Monday. This is for Monday's calendar. Senate Bill 62, 109, 146, 159, 168, 216, 222, and 133. That will be the rules calendar for Monday morning. Thank you all, and I'll see you on the floor.